Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. We are students from group of MAC2204F from Bachelor of Accounting. This is our video presentation for segmental report. So for the company of our assignment is Post Malaysia Berhad. We consist of 4 group members, which is Harizah Arina binti Albar, Saeidatul Fadhilah binti Sidek, Nurin Qistina binti Mohd.Fariq, and lastly is Ros Wahidah Najwani binti Rusli. So in our presentation we consist 4 content, which is 1 is company background, introduction of Post Malaysia. 2 is management approach, which is we explain about factor to consider, type of segment, and CODM of company. 3 is our segmental report of Post Malaysia, and 4 is the conclusion. In conclusion, we will explain about advantage and disadvantage of the segmental report of the company. So, for the first part, we will tell you about the company background of Post Malaysia Berhad. Now, let's begin with the history of Post Malaysia Berhad. The history of Post Malaysia Berhad began in the early of 1800s. The first postal service was started in the Strait of Settlement in Penang, Malacca, and Singapore. In the early of 20th century, it's expanding to the rest of Malaysia. Letters were conveyed through dispatch rider and special messenger. Instead of postage stamp, fees were collected when the letters were handed in the post office. Back then, letters posted were given a receipt. In 1867, the system later changed when the Indian stamp overprint with the crown and street stamp overprint with dollars and cents. The first set of postage stamps were introduced in 1901. In 1901, it was also started as a medium of transmission of letter, newspaper, and business document. In 1992, Post Malaysia Berhad was taken over from the Postal Service Department. Postal Service Department began to take over numerous services on behalf of government department. It also started to collect of electricity bill, sale of dog license, payment of pension, sales of television license, and other. In September 2001, Post Malaysia Berhad was listed on Bursa Malaysia Berhad to reserve takeover of Pilio Ali Berhad, assuming its listing status. Today, Post Malaysia has many strategic business units. Post Malaysia has a record over 200 years. It has progressed from a traditional postal service into dynamic mail and parcel service, financial service, and supply chain solution provider. Post Malaysia has the largest delivery and touchpoint network in Malaysia. Now, let's look at the second part. The second part is management approach of Post Malaysia Berhad. For the factor to consider to have a segment reporting is first is nature of product or service. Second is nature of production process. Third is type of class of customers. Lastly is method to distribute the product and service. On the nature of product or service, Post Malaysia Berhad nature is on both product and service. The major business segments are postal service, courier, international, aviation, logistics, and other operations. For nature of production process, I will explain about the each segment report. For post service segment, Post Malaysia Berhad Postal Service provide that delivery postal related product and service such as mail delivery, postage stamp, and postal financial service. It also customized retail solutions such as mail room management and direct mail and over-the-counter service for payment of bill and certain financial product and service. For the courier segment, courier service provider that offer express parcel delivery service that primarily involve receiving and delivering parcel items. For the international segment, international business consists primarily of cross-border solution in which customers ship e-commerce items from mainly China to various destinations around the world via the global postal network. International segment include the direct entry and transshipment. For the aviation segment offer comprehensive range of flight-related service. The flight-related service such as air cargo handling, in-flight catering, aircraft maintenance and engineering, and lastly is facilities equipment. For the logistics segment provide a total logistic and inventory solution such as container haulage service, freight forwarding, shipping agency, chartering, warehousing and distributing. For the other operation segment, there consists three business, which is Pos Aranu. Pos Aranu is a one-stop go center that offer customer the facility of Islamic microfinancing service as well as the transaction, retailing and safekeeping of physical gold. Second is Post Digital, is a licensed certificate authority that responsible for creating of digital identity through the use of digital certificate. Lastly is Data Post. Data Post is a dynamic mailing solution unit that provide a range of service including data processing, developing, bulk mail service, delivery and a suite of other service. For the third factor to consider is the type or class of customer. Firstly, postal service, logistic and courier. For this segment, they're creating an end-to-end logistic chain for the customer. Second is aviation and international. This type of segment create a cross-border business for the customer. Lastly is other operation. Other operation provide the digital service for the customer. For the last factor, which is a method to distribute of product and service, as for postal service, courier and logistics segment, they're using vehicle to distribute their product and service. Proton has revived its collaboration with Geely by introducing the X70 SUV. For the international aviation, as they focus on cross-border business, they're using flight in order to distribute their product and service. Lastly, for other operation, as they focus on digital, so they're using microfinancial, digital certification and mailing solution to distribute for their product and service.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Saeidatul Fadhilah binti Sidek, and I am going to explain on the type of segment in Post Malaysia. Every company shall report separately information about an operating segment that meets the quantitative threshold criteria, which is it is reported as revenue, the absolute amount of its reported profit or loss is 10% or more, and its assets are 10% or more of the combined asset of all operating segments. There are four types of segment that meets the quantitative threshold in Post Malaysia, that is postal services, courier, aviation and logistics. For postal services, Post Malaysia included the provision of basic mail services for corporate and individual customers. They also customize solutions such as mailroom management and direct mail. They also provide the over-the-counter services for payment of bills and certain financial products and services. For courier segment, Post Malaysia also include the courier parcel and logistic solution by air, land and sea. They also provide the services for national and international destination. For aviation segment, Post Malaysia provides cargo and ground handling, in-flight catering and freight and forwarding, and also air cargo transport. In logistics segment, Post Malaysia provide the haulage services, freight and forwarding, shipping agency and chartering services, warehousing and distribution services. This fourth segment is categorized as reportable segment as it is a revenue and meet the 10% threshold. Post Malaysia have another two segments, but they are not meet with the quantitative threshold criteria, and they may be considered as reportable and separately disclosed if the management believe that the information about the segment would be useful for the user of the financial statement. These two types of segment that cannot be categorized as reportable segment is international segment and other operating segment. For international segment, the Post Malaysia provide direct entry and transshipment. For other operating segment, Post Malaysia do the hybrid mail, that is, they provide data and document processing services, business of internet security product and solution and services. For Ar-Rahnu business, they do the storage and safekeeping fees, buying and selling of investment precious metals, and rental income from investment properties by the group. Now, I will explain the term of Chief Operating Decision Maker, or we usually call it as CODM. CODM is not a specific title for a manager. It is actually a function and responsibility. CODM is a person who responsible to allocate resources and to supervise the performance of operating segment of the company. Chief of Decision Maker in Post Malaysia is the Group Chief Executive Officer GCEO, which is Mr. Syed Mat Najib bin Syed Mat Noor. He is accountable to the board for the authorities that are delegated to him and for the performance of the group. He is also accountable for the overall organization, management and staffing of the group and for its procedure in operational and financial matters, including conduct and discipline. He will also review the internal management report at least on a quarterly basis.
My name is Nurin Qistina, binti Mohd.Fariq, and I'll be presenting the third part, which is reportable segment. As we know, Post Lajur Malaysia has 6 operating segments, which are courier, postal services, aviation, logistics, international and other operations. But not all operating segments are required to be reported. How to know if an operating segment is required to be reported? First, we use the 10% threshold revenue test. The total revenue of an operating segment, which include external revenue and inter-segment revenue, will be divided by total revenue of all operating segments. If the result is more than 10%, the operating segment is considered reportable, and if the result is less than 10%, the operating segment is considered non-reportable. After applying this test, we can conclude that Post Lajur Malaysia has 4 reportable segments, which are courier, postal services, aviation and logistics, and 2 non-reportable segments, which are international and other operations. Second, we use the 75% threshold test. After determining the reportable segments, Post Lajur Malaysia should ensure that the total external revenue of reporting segments are at least 75% of total external revenue of all operating segments. If 75% threshold test is not met, Post Lajur Malaysia should identify any additional reporting segments. After applying this test, we figured that the 75% threshold test has been met, so Post Lajur Malaysia does not have to identify any additional reporting segments.
Finally, I will present the last part, which is part 4, the conclusion. My name is Ros Wahidah Najwani binti Rusli. Segmental reporting is very important, but there are advantages and disadvantages to it. There are 3 advantages of segment reporting to the Post Berhad Malaysia. First, separating profitable segments. Companies use segment reporting to document the performance of different areas of the business because the companies need to show which segments are performing to expectations and which are not. It can reveal which segments are profitable and which are drained on the bottom line. Post Berhad Malaysia has 6 segments which are courier, postal services, international, logistic, aviation, and other operation. From those 6, it can conclude that 4 segments are reportable while 2 segments are not reportable. Next is analyzing the company's performance. Large companies use segmented financial statements for both internal management reporting and external financial reporting. Analyzing a company's performance by individual segments can give managers greater insight into the relative profitability of different parts of the business. For example, a segment may have different rates of profitability, degrees, types of risks, and opportunities for growth. Managers use segmented financial statements to help in the financial analysis process. Also, the disclosure of segment information may influence greatly management performance and encourage them to work in the interests of society and investor. Last but not least, enhance the transparency of the financial report. Generally accepted accounting principle (GAAP) states that if a company uses segmented reporting internally, it must also report segments externally to the external users, which are stakeholders, creditors, and investors. This allows external users to look at the company the same way as managers can. It can make better assess the risks and returns of the companies and make more informed judgments about the company as a whole. Also, it is easy for external users to make investment and credit decisions. Indirectly, it enables users to better predict the future performance of the company. Next, there are 3 disadvantages. First, company could lose competitive advantage. The major concern is presenting the results of segment operation to external users such as competitors and other parties like customers, creditors, and potential investors could lead to competitive damage. As segmental information disclosure gives details about the company's operating margins, return on assets, growth rate, and risk in its different lines of business, this may reveal the existing weakness or opportunities, which can be exploited by those competitors and other parties to their own advantage. Post Malaysia Berhad is facing competition from other courier companies such as FedEx, TNT, DHL, Skynet, and GD Express. Next, problem of misinterpretations. Misunderstanding likely to be found among investors about segment information. Segment information might be misleading to the investors and other external users who read it. Operating data by segments are developed for internal management users, and often judgments are made by management for developing such segment data. The limitations of segment data are inherent in the nature of accounting as a means of communicating information about a business segment. For instance, accounting cannot directly provide information about the physical condition of a company's plants or the competence of company management. The last disadvantages are managerial conservatism. In the absence of some regulatory provisions to disclose segment reports, voluntary disclosures are likely to be perceived by managers to be beneficial only in certain situations. For example, management will do the segment reporting when they only believe that the company's attractiveness can be enhanced. The end. That is all from 4 of us. Thank you.